Welcome in. I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything beauty, fitness, and lifestyle for the over 50 and over 60 woman. Everyone lets me know that. I'm so excited you're here today. Connie is over 62. I'm here with my dear friend Connie. She is the gal that really helped me on my fitness and weight loss journey. And I'm so grateful for her. We've had such a good time working together. And I messaged Connie a little while ago and I said, you know, girl, the holidays are coming. We might need a little few tips so that we don't end up regretting the last couple of months when we hit January. So she was gracious enough to come on. We're going to talk about how to get through the holidays without getting fluffy and without ending up with that January regret. Connie, welcome in.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. I love spending time with you and your audience. I've had such fun working with many of you, and hi, I'm happy to be here.
Okay, for those of the viewers, the people watching who don't know you, tell us what you do, how you got into it, and a little bit about your business and how you help people like me.
Thank you. So I'm Connie Rutledge. I'm a functional nutritionist. A little bit different from a dietitian because I am definitely trained differently. Functional nutrition is looking at the body in a way that allows us to use things like labs, your blood work, maybe a different take on nutrition, whole foods, the more natural way, in a better way to say it. So as a functional nutritionist, I will offer fat loss tips and tricks and give you a lot of information to, catch the clues so that you can really hack your fat loss and maintenance. I think that's a huge part of what we're going to talk today. Many of us have done a lot of the legwork, the hard work to maybe, lose some fat, but keeping it off or maintaining what you have during the holidays is where I can really offer strategies and show you the way.
Wonderful. Yeah. One thing I want to clear up, Connie, with everyone that's watching before we start in with the tips and tricks, which I can't wait to hear because I'm just as susceptible to the pumpkin pie and the pecan pie as anybody else. What I want to talk about is I get emails and messages all the time from so many of you who said, how do I find someone like Connie in my area? And the answer is you don't need to. Connie works with people all over the country, as the other people who do what Connie does, they do. Most people work online now. That's just the way the business is done. And it's not just nutritionists, it's all kinds of experts sharing their information. Most of it's done online. I didn't even meet Connie until a few weeks back when I was in California. It just so happens that Connie lives near my daughter. So when I went and visited my daughter, Connie and I got together for lunch, and it was like this for 2 hours, just talk. So you don't need to find someone in your area if you're struggling to do that. If there's someone in your area that you feel really good about or you've been suggested to, fabulous. But if you're stuck and you're looking for someone, give Connie a call. It doesn't make any difference where you live. It's going to be done online. I know for me, and here's the thing that I can say about this, and this is what I find with most experts that I end up working with, regardless of what the category is the common sense that Connie brought to my situation was like, why didn't I think about that? It's just the ability for someone who understands that playing field to see where you're going wrong. And I thought I was doing everything right. I was doing about 90% wrong, just because I wasn't seeing it through the right lens. So what I can tell you is what Connie has helped me with hasn't been hard. It's just been different. It's looking at things differently. It's made a world of difference for me. And I really feel like, this first year is wrapping up pretty quickly in my fitness journey. It's just the beginning. I understand now how important it is to have a body that functions really, really well. And ladies, we're not getting any younger. We want to stay as mobile as possible. So that's my little pitch for how do you find someone. Hope you agree, Connie.
I 100% agree. And I've worked in doctor's offices and health clubs, and, as pandemic kind of did its thing, I was forced to go virtual, and I didn't go back. And I've always had clients all over the nation, all over the world. I've got clients in London and Switzerland, and it's so fun to be able to work with someone who's not, in my area, and there's no difference in results.
There's no difference. Yeah.
No.
Anyway,
so it's even easier because you're not having to find a parking spot and be 5 minutes late and completely hassled and undone when you walk into my office and sit down. I really do appreciate that piece.
Yeah, it is so very convenient. And whoever invented Zoom, they knew what was coming. So apparently, yeah. All right. So how do we, pumpkin pie, pecan pie, whipped cream with sugar in it. How do we get through the holidays? We want to be social. We want to go to parties. We don't want to feel like we're depriving ourselves, because that's no fun. How do we get through the holidays without that 10-pound regret come January?
Well, I'm going to say a lot of it is mindset and appreciating the fact that that indulging should be for special occasions. And yes, every week is a special occasion. You can find something to celebrate every day. But the fact that you want to celebrate feeling good and having your routine, really appreciating how far you can push yourself, meaning, just kind of get to that edge, but appreciating that you don't want the pumpkin pie on the daily. If it's in your home and under your nose, you might want to rethink that. If you have habit control issues, then we need to chat. Typically what I see is if we can prioritize protein and, quality fats and exercise and sleep and, all the things, then you're not going to feel like you have no control when the pecan pie is under your nose. And you're going to be better equipped to feel good in the body that you walk into that party with, and not feel like you have no, that lever of control is not available to you. So first of all, you have to think right, and just, so if you haven't gotten there yet, then you might need to make up your mind that it's time to get there, and use someone like me to give you a recipe for success, to get on the wagon for health and wellness and longevity. And I think that's a big piece of this. If you're brand new to this, then, you might want to invest in yourself and get the parameters, so to speak. So, there's a couple of different ways to this solution, right? Now, Kimberly, someone like you who really has a routine and you've dialed in a whole bunch of the dials, it becomes a little different conversation. So we can go several different ways for this.
One thing that's unfortunate, and I experienced it myself, is that I know for me, once I get on that train of eating the sugar, of eating the bread products, the rolls, the this and that, it's almost becomes almost addictive. And I'm not saying that, but that craving or that wanting it. And then it's like, well, why can't I have that? And then as the pounds start, packing on, it just is it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. In other words, I didn't put on a little bit of weight and then back off a bit. I put on a little bit of weight and then I put on a little bit more weight, and
Yeah.
it just kept going. And it wasn't until I just said, that's enough.
Yeah.
We're going to figure this out. And it took me a while to figure it out. And it took Connie to say, hey, those things you're doing are not really in the best interest of what your goals are.
Right.
So, I can see how hard it is, particularly if you're going into the holidays and you're already 20, 25 pounds overweight. And this is not fat shaming. This is like healthy body,
Right.
Healthy body desire, feeling good desire, snapping out of bed and feeling like, oh gosh, I feel great. Let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
It
deserves the conversation. Intermittent fasting is a huge piece to offering your body a way to utilize the food that you do eat. And if you are, as a menopausal woman, we definitely are needing to appreciate how much more sensitive our body is to the fuel that we're eating.
Yeah.
Even if it's healthy food, it's a different dynamic than 20 years ago, as we all know, right?
Yeah. It's not, our food supply is a disaster.
That's a whole nother layer to this dilemma, for sure.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say, and I thought about this morning, Connie, and I don't think I'm wrong in this. People in other countries don't look like Americans.
Agreed.
And that's, if you have not traveled out of the country, you don't know that. It is stunning when you go to another country and you see, and I'm not saying, this is not a judgment. This is a seeking health journey. You'd be shocked at how other countries look, the populations look compared to Americans.
Yeah. It's a problem. And, we're over medicated, we're over toxined, and everything, other than whole food, even some of the whole food is not, the way it should be.
Yeah. So, and you need to understand, ladies, that the US allows so many more toxins, pesticides in our foods than 99% of the countries on the planet. This is a problem. That's why we can eat exactly what we ate 25 years ago and be 40, 50 pounds overweight. We're being sabotaged is what's going on. At least that's my opinion.
And I agree. And that's why we need to be super careful in what we're choosing, and getting the nutrients, nutrition first. But there are ways to kind of support you in there's a lot of things you can do to kind of hack what shouldn't be necessary, but
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about specific strategies. Let's pretend I'm going to a neighborhood party tonight.
Okay.
What can I do to prepare myself, and what can I do once I get there to walk out and feeling like I didn't blow it too bad?
Okay. So I'm going to say, you're going to wake up in the morning and you've got this celebration tonight. And you might think ahead, and you can do this for any way, if you're going out to a restaurant, just you're going out to dinner tonight. First of all, you're going to want to, maybe you're going to want to do a 13 to 15 hour intermittent fast, meaning you don't have collagen peptides in your coffee, and because that's going to interrupt your fast. You can have black coffee, you can have a little bit of cream if you're used to that, or something to lighten your coffee, and you drink a lot of water. And I always say, if you're going to have a party that night, you want to get your exercise in, because you're going to be adding more fuel into your body, and appreciating that, have a little bit of a deficit. And it's not about calories in and calories out. I want to stress that. I'm going to kind of go off on a tangent. I had a client who is one of your audience members. She was really careful in her day-to-day low calorie lifestyle. She was so careful, and she made sure that, she was under her calorie limit. And when we looked at what her day-to-day was, she would allow a sugar-free or a low-sugar candy as she sat at her desk. And she would have just this little, it was only like 30 calories or something like that. Well, she was gaining weight. And when we looked at her calorie in, it had nothing to do about the calories. It was the timing of her eating. She was putting little tiny bits of things, and we've really, as in our demographic, we were taught calorie restriction. So low calorie diet, the Weight Watchers diets, the Jenny Craig's, all of those are low calorie diets. And they are little snackies throughout the day because you're starving yourself. So we're just hanging on by a thread and getting to that next snack. Well, what that's doing is it's kicking up the insulin in your system, because
all day long,
every time you put food in your mouth, your body has to create insulin to be able to lock away the sugar that you've eaten. So there's not too much sugar in your bloodstream causing you to fall down and, anyway. So your body does it does what it's designed to do every time you put a little something in your mouth.
Yeah.
The trick is, ladies, you need to eat your meal in what I call your feeding window. So if you're going to eat that meal at 11 o'clock or even 8 o'clock, eat it all in an hour and a half, and then stop eating. Allow your body to use that fuel. No snacking, because every time you put that little candy, even a piece of sugar-free gum, is going to kick up insulin and cause your body to store. You're never, ever going to get your body burning the stored fat that you do have that you don't want on your body. It's never going to go away unless you condense those feeding windows and have more fasting time.
Yeah. And I've learned that from you. What I'll do is, if I'm going to eat a particular amount of food, I sit down and eat it.
You have to.
And then I don't eat again until it's time for me to eat my next meal. And I eat my main meal. If I'm going to have a piece of fruit or something after it, I don't wait. I do it, it's like I eat it all together. Then I wait until my next feeding window. It's like, I think about the same thing. It's like when I'm eating, I'm eating. And when I'm not putting anything in my mouth. The only thing I drink is water or tea, herbal tea.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. So I feel like that's such an interest, that's a way to master the, getting fluffy during the holidays.
Yeah. Okay. So I go to the party. I've fasted a little bit longer.
Okay.
I've exercised. I'm getting ready to go. What do I do?
Well, I think you need to kind of check in with your body and assess. You're going to have made sure that you've got at least, usually parties are in the evening. So we're going to just assume that you're going to have at least 50 to 70 grams of protein before. So if you've had breakfast and lunch, you're going to have a nice amount of protein on board, whether that's a protein powder, whether that's a hamburger patty, whether that's a chicken breast, or several eggs, whatever it is. Make sure that you're kind of cognizant of having protein in your system so that you're not starving, right? Our bodies need protein to maintain muscle mass. So you're getting hungry. It's 4 o'clock. You're getting yourself gussied up to go to this celebration. and you're checking in. How does my body feel? And you're kind of just gearing up. You know, you're going to have maybe you're going to have a full meal at this party, right? Or maybe you're going to graze. When you do get there, and most of the time you maybe have a cocktail or a glass of wine, that's okay. If you know, check in with yourself, make sure you're hydrated. And then when you do see what's available for food, you want to go with the higher protein snacks to begin with. If there's some, you know, sausage or meatballs, or if you do dairy, you can do cheese, you know, hard-boiled eggs, like a deviled egg type thing, or you go with the veggie sticks. That's good. Or you don't do anything at all and you wait for the meal. I mean, it just is so varied.
Mhm.
There's a lot of ways to you know, to go about this conversation, but definitely appreciate that you can go crazy and, you know, hit the bread bowl or the chips, or you can just say, no, I know I'd rather have dessert. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of wait, hold off, not restrict, but just prioritize what works for you,
Yeah.
what your heart's desire is, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always think of that term, don't eat naked carbs.
Okay, that's
So
good.
if I'm going to have a little treat at the end of the meal, I'm going to make sure I'm packing the protein in
Yeah.
prior to that. So I've got a good base and my blood sugar is not going to be freaking out when I have
Yeah,
a little
and I
goodie.
feel like that's always a good idea. I also have kind of stories, as you know, I've been doing this for over 15 years, and listening to clients saying, you know what, we went to pizza and I had 2 pieces of pizza, and I knew I needed, you know, some healthy food, so I had a salad. I said, well, let's think about that salad. That salad at the pizza parlor is going to have, you know, copious amounts of dressing, which is, you know, seed oils. It's
Yeah.
got a bunch of, you know, croutons and things that you should never be eating. And
Mm.
you've just undermined just a horrible, is that okay now?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're going to undermine yourself in a way that is horrible for, you know, for your success. So
Yeah.
just appreciate that you don't need to add more, quote unquote, what you would call healthy on top of something that isn't healthy.
Yeah. And I think that the issue that comes up for me when we talk about things like the salad at a pizza parlor is the misinformation we've been fed for decades
Oh God.
about what actually is healthy. And that's really frustrating for me because we've been told, have the salad. It's that, well, I'm having a salad, it's all healthy. And when you look at that salad, you're right. Most of the dressings out there in the world are made with seed oils, incredibly inflammatory. Most of them have a dairy product on them that is a bastardized version of dairy with so many chemicals and so many additives, another inflammatory issue. Then you get to the croutons, and then you get to all the little things. There's nothing healthy about that salad.
The
And
cranberries. Yeah.
yeah, and yet we have been repeatedly reinforced in that belief system that, oh, I'll just have the salad, that's healthier. No, that's not healthier, but we have been misled and lied to, and that frustrates me, so I wanted to point it out.
I love it. And it's so true. When we just we have the wrong ideas just kind of over and over as we're indoctrinated. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is indoctrination. And, you know, one of the things I want to say, because it's important to me, is that this conversation is about feeling fabulous.
Yeah.
It's about feeling energetic. It's about bouncing out of bed and you can't wait to start your day.
Yeah.
It is feeling energetic, which helps you feel creative, which helps you feel satisfied, which helps you feel, happy to be in your home, in your community with the people you love. It's about feeling good. And that's one thing that I noticed when I started on my journey. I did not feel good. I was not my best self. And it wasn't about, oh, I want to look skinny so I can wear those jeans and look great. No, it's that I want to feel healthy and strong. So as I age, I am as vital and engaged in life and productive and creative as possible. I don't want to end up being a burden to my family or being a deadbeat in my community as far as my energy level to get involved in activities that are good for the community. So what we're talking about here is being an absolutely engaged, vital, energetic human. This is not about, hey girls, let's look skinny so that we can, have some kind of attitude about that. That is the silliest thing in my mind. And I know that, Connie, you agree with me on that because you're very active as well. And, I went to the gym this morning and I looked around and I noticed that there are a lot of 70 and 80-year-olds with a quick step and a little lift, and they're just doing it. And then there's there was one little couple, they were very sweet and cute, but they were shuffling. They had not kept up with their fitness. It got more than they could handle at this point, and they're struggling to lift 5 pounds. Yeah. We don't want to get there.
No.
Yeah.
Our health and longevity is everything. And we have, if you haven't been on your game, and it's never too late.
It's never too late.
Never too late.
Yeah.
And if you're not perfect at it, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
You get to make up your mind. You get to decide, how you're going to tackle the problem. The fact that, you're listening today means that you've got more resources than maybe someone else. And just appreciating the way that we're designed and the way that nature works and understanding it. And you have so many resources, available to just choose something better.
Mm-hmm.
And your body is designed miraculously to heal, and you give it what it needs and you're going to be, in the right direction right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing that I noticed when I was, before I started on my journey is that it wasn't getting better. My not exercising, my food choices not being the best for me, it wasn't getting better. It was just snowballing the worst. And I could see where this was going, and I didn't want to, that was not the reality that I wanted for myself. So it's never too late. That's for doggone sure. Cause I was 66. I'm almost 67. So it's not too late. I'm definitely not young. That's for sure. All right. I want to talk about something that you have been encouraging me to do since we started working together, and I finally did. And that is long-term fasting.
Okay.
Connie kept saying to me, okay, one day a week, you can eat anything you want within reason. And one day a week you fast, you don't eat. And I always did the first, that day where I ate anything I wanted, and I never did the second because I just wasn't ready yet. And this is really a tribute to holding off until you're ready. Well, finally one day I got up and I said, okay, now I'm ready. And I fasted for 35 hours, and another one was like 36 hours in 1 week. So I did that. And now every Friday, so from end of the day on Thursday, before I go to bed until Saturday morning, I don't eat. So I have a 35, 36 hour fast once a week. It has been, it's not the easiest thing in the beginning, but I've learned tips and tricks. First of all, stay busy. Second, go to bed early. Because that extra 8 or 9 hours from sleeping overnight is like a freebie, Exactly. How could something like that, let's say I'm going to a party, this gal is a baker, there's going to be everything I love there. I want to have it. Can we employ extra fasting during the holiday season? Is that going to be helpful, or is that just wishful thinking?
Great question. Okay, first of all, I'm going to caution. If you haven't fasted, you need to ease into this fast, and you need to kind of adopt intermittent fasting lifestyle where you are doing an intermittent fast most days of the week. That's how we're designed. That's how we should be living our lives. Appreciating that unless you're completely exhausted and have some health concerns, then yes, you need some help with that, right? But you ease into this beautiful fasting lifestyle where you're maybe, skipping dinner 3 or 4 nights a week and eating breakfast and lunch. If you want to eat lunch and dinner, that's perfectly fine. Or if you want to do a couple days where you have 1 meal a day. So, okay, ladies, you're going to ease into this fasting lifestyle. Okay. So Kimberly, you're at this point where you had done this for years. You had pretty much done your fasting and you were comfortable with that, and kind of then at a standstill as far as your progress goes in fat loss and all things longevity, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then you decided you would push the envelope and do a longer fast. The caution that I'm wanting to stress is, do not do a 24-hour fast and go to a party and eat bread and cookies and cakes. That's not a good idea. So what I want everyone to appreciate is that you can, yes, enjoy a longer fast, but make sure that you're not binging at the end of that longer fast. So we need to just kind of easing into the fasting, and then play with a 20-hour fast where you're maybe eating 1 meal a day, and master that for a couple weeks. So we don't want to just arrive at the holidays and go, all right, I'm going to be a master faster. Okay, so I'm cautioning you. But if you have experience in the fasting lifestyle, then appreciating that a 36-hour fast, say Friday to, if you're doing Thursday to Sunday even. So that's a whole day, 2 sleeps, right? And a whole day. And the next, that second day you wake up and you're going to need probably to eat. You're going to eat normally like you always do. You're going to do the healthy meal, and you're going to get your protein, and you're going to get your, low carb, real food, nature's carbs, not junk food, so that you can enjoy that party scene or treats, whatever it is, and not feel like you've gained 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's a mindset, it's a lifestyle, it's a practice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's paying attention to your body.
100%.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you have your minerals on board. You want to make sure that you're not starving, because that's the big, and I talk about this on my channel. I've got, a lot of videos on fasting and how to and how not to. And you want to have your nutrients, because your body needs nutrients so your hair doesn't fall out and your skin doesn't look sallow, and you're not wasting away, which isn't many people's problem. So it's an art form where you learn and practice and be cognizant of how your body's responding.
Yeah. And one thing I want to share is there is such a beauty to having having stable blood sugar.
Oh.
And I struggled with blood sugar issues all my life, and I didn't realize it. Like when I was much younger, I can remember when I was maybe early 20s and I had a donut and a cup of coffee, I was almost on the floor sweating and shaking. 15 minutes later. And I couldn't figure out what was going on because other people were doing it and they were fine. So if you have blood sugar that just jerks you around, I always had to really watch my blood sugar. Now that I'm eating a very high protein diet, my blood sugar is so stable. I don't get hungry. There are days that I have to like almost force myself to have that extra protein because I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
And I think Connie was when I was out in California, there was a situation, I can't really remember the details, where I wasn't able to get my protein in. It was more carby stuff that was available. And I just decided I can't do anything about it. I'm just going to, I'm just going to have to flow with it.
Sure.
I, for the first time in months, felt that super hunger, that blood sugar crashing thing. It's such an uncomfortable feeling. One thing I can share with you is if you do have blood sugar issues, a high protein diet has been a gift for me because my blood sugar has been a real challenge all my life. So there's hope out there for you if you do have that.
Well, it's also essential to, your longevity, because at this stage, muscle mass is everything. And the protein, the amino acids in the protein are what builds muscle and maintains muscle mass. So there's no accident that all the health experts are screaming protein, protein, protein. And yeah, there's going to be a day or two when you don't achieve that goal, but you're certainly going to feel like, I wish I had, and, you plan better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's almost, I can't imagine. I think I would feel so sick, just tired and unwell. And one thing I've noticed too, Connie, and I know this, you probably hear this all the time, is that if I don't eat right, my mood is not right. My mood can go right down the tubes if I'm not getting my nutrients. I take a ton of supplements. I eat whole foods, and it helps you to think better, to feel happier, to feel more calm. And good Lord knows we need calmness in the world right now. Let's be the calm people, try to calm things down. So it's such a gift to have that good feeling. And I hate to say this, I don't get there from pies and cakes, although I love pies and cakes, from time to time.
Of course. And we shouldn't, we should be able to enjoy that stuff. The fact that you notice that you feel down and a little blue when you're not well nourished is a wonderful, achievement, and appreciating how impactful good nutrition is. I mean, no wonder we're at such a horrible state right now with people don't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And feeling good is essential and easier than you think. The problem with a lot of older people not getting their protein is because digestion is not what it used to be. So I get all the time, I want to be vegetarian because, I just can't eat meat, and I can't, eat red meat. And so I just offer that you might need a digestive enzyme to help with the breakdown of that protein. First of all, you want to chew your food, and you want to eat simply, right? Not boring, but simple foods. And if you're going to, if you're concerned about digestion, then maybe you use the apple cider vinegar, maybe you use a digestive enzyme or a Swedish bitters in, as you're eating, and appreciate that your stomach definitely needs to be able to break down dietary protein. And when you're eating simpler meals, it becomes much easier, because if you're piling in, a restaurant salad, which is raw and with a bunch of crappy oils, and a piece of bread, which is, going to ferment into bubbles and be upsetting to your stomach. And then you you put a steak on, or you eat a hamburger and French fries, all of that in your stomach together is going to be a very difficult equation for your stomach acid. And if you're on any kind of acid blockers or, medications that might impede proper digestion, you need to address that. So
Yeah.
just appreciate that there might be a few factors limiting your ability to have as much protein as you actually need. And we need to sort that out.
Yeah. From your suggestion, I take digestive enzymes every day.
Yeah.
And it really does help with my stomach. Elizabeth has a question over in the chat. She said, wait a minute, I thought we weren't supposed to eat if we're not hungry. And I can get that so much because I know I have my protein goal. I don't always meet it, but I definitely, it's always a goal, to make sure I get as much protein. And she said, it's sometimes I just can't put another bite in my mouth, and I totally get it. So help us with that. It's getting towards the end of the day, and it's like, I'm so satiated from what I had earlier. How do I get that extra protein in?
Okay. First of all, I want to ask, is Elizabeth at normal weight? And she can answer the question or not, and I'm going to go forward. Obviously, if you're not hungry, you don't need to eat. But let's be clear that collectively you need to have enough nutrition to support your body's needs, right? We don't need to go into starvation mode.
Yeah.
If you're getting upwards of 60 to 100 grams of protein most days of the week, then if you're not hungry, you can certainly skip a meal and be perfectly fine. But if you're eating, under 1,000 calories, and all those calories, if you're under 40 grams, let's just say most days, then that's malnourishment. And you might not be hungry because your body does not have enough of everything. And might need to really work with someone like me to be able to, boost that whole system and get you where you need to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. And one thing I can say, I am not hungry.
Right.
The diet that I have now, I am not hungry. And right now I'm on the East Coast. It's 1:44 in the afternoon. I have not eaten anything since last night.
Right.
And I'm fine. I had my coffee this morning and this and that, and I have my tea right now because I want the liquids. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm done with Connie. When I'm done with the video, then I'll have something to eat. That's the beauty of this, is that I feel so satiated all the time. I never, ever in a million years would have believed that I could eat the way that I'm eating now and not just be starving and just like waiting for my next meal, but I'm just not. It's that satiation from the protein and getting those nutrients. I take a lot of supplements. I take digestive enzymes, and every meal is protein and then maybe a little something else. And sometimes I just have a protein. Sometimes I just have a steak.
Yeah. Well, Kimberly, that means you're optimized.
Oh,
and when we're optimized, our body will tap into stored fat for fuel and make a ketone. And a ketone is the body's preferred, it's a really supercharged fuel source. So we get more alert. We get more when we're fat adapted, and our body is utilizing both fuel sources, glucose and body fat for fuel, the ketones, then we are in this optimized state that really definitely is preferred.
And it feels good.
Oh, it feels amazing.
Right now, I could go another couple hours and feel fine. It's like I don't feel sluggish. Yeah. And I can tell you when I was on, when I was eating the way I was eating before, I felt sluggish. I did not feel good.
Well, and definitely is something that you want to strive for and appreciate that there is a better way if you're eating a low calorie diet and you're not eating real food. You know, if you're eating the boxed meals and, you know, that's a recipe for disaster.
It is. It really is. It's just sad. I was thinking this morning as I was at the gym, I don't know that Americans really realize how destructive our food supply is, how absolutely destructive it is to a healthy body. And I feel like I could do videos for the next year and a half, you know, just going around the grocery store saying, look what's in this, and people are buying it, you know. But you know, you get there when you get there. But what I can say is that when you're ready, you'll know it. And it does take a little bit of time to shift. It's like I feel like my body functions completely different than it did 8-9 months ago.
Well, I want to point out that when we began working together, you know, you had done the several videos about health and you're wonderful, just reminding us and showing us a better way, but when you started the fasting, the intermittent fasting, the right way, it flipped the switch for you. Because you weren't burning fat. You weren't using fat for fuel. You were eating, you know, a very healthy diet, but you were giving your body little bits, you know, too often.
Yeah.
Even though I'm curious if we went back and kind of measured your, you know, calories and looked at what you were eating and then put it, you know, and compared it, what it would be, because you were starting your day with the collagen coffee and thinking that was the fasting, but that's really not fasting at all. And then you were eating a big, beautiful vegetable rich lunch, typically, right? And then I know what you were doing for dinner, but I'm just curious if we really, you know, kind of compared it, because right now you're getting probably more protein, less carbohydrates, and you're eating less often.
Yes, that's true. I eat mostly protein. It's just a completely different shift. And I never would have thought that I would ever eat this way, but I find that it's just so much healthier. Now, speaking of vegetables, which I used to eat a lot more vegetables than I do now, I mostly eat protein and fruit. I very rarely eat any kind of bread or grain.
Right.
There was a question in, I think it was Elizabeth, talks about oxalates. You know, it's like that whole thing, my salad is trying to kill me. You know, it's kind of a new information out there. Can you explain what that is and why are people, a lot of nutritionists, very smart nutritionists like you, saying, well, you might want to dial down the veggies a little bit? What's going on?
Well, vegetables have their, you know, all plants have their protection, just like animals can run from us. Plants have oxalates and phytates, and those are anti-nutrients. And they are designed so that, you know, we as humans or animals don't eat them, right? Everything's designed
to live too.
Exactly. So they are definitely, you know, oxalates can be something that, and especially, oh gosh, it's multi-layered in, you know, and I don't want to get too much in the weeds of explaining all of it, but it's all about balance. And we as Americans, or just maybe humans, once we learn something that's healthy, we're going to run off in the direction and overdo it.
Yes.
Right? And so that's where the oxalate overload can, because we get to the point, obviously, if you're looking for a better way, something's not right. Correct? So many of us, especially, you know, we've got information at our fingertips. We're kind of going in this direction of, you know, this oxalate poisoning, you know, possibility. Well, maybe you've overdone your veggies and overdone specific veggies that are high in oxalates, the spinach and, you know, things like that. So, And then you get this oxalate dumping, which is, it doesn't feel good. So I want to say that moderation is the key, especially with something when you might have a compromised health issue.
Yeah.
So you need to have more information, and I don't want to blanket code it, or I want you to understand that if you have a serious issue and there's a possibility, get the right resources for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's like moderation is key. And, it is challenging because we are fed so much bad information from corporations looking to make a profit. And that's all it is. It's just, it's almost as though the corporations are running the show now and they're bullies. So we have to really take charge and, ask ourselves I don't watch TV, so I don't see the commercials. I can only imagine what they're like. I mean, every time I get in front of a TV, which is as rare as possible for me, I'm horrified. I'm horrified at what they're saying, and I'm also horrified at the level with which they're communicating. It's almost like they're pandering to children or something. It's not a mature conversation. It is a characterization of maturity, and it's not good. All right. So let's kind of say, let's do this scenario, Connie, where it's the middle of the holidays. We went to a party last night. I had the pecan pie and I had the pumpkin pie and then the creme brulee. I could not help myself. I did it. Now what do I do? So what can we, other than not shame ourselves? Good Lord. There's plenty of people out there who want to shame you. Don't shame yourself.
Right.
So it's like, okay, we did it. Now what?
Okay. So chances are you're going to wake up and you're going to be a little hungover.
Yes.
Okay. And there's just the remorse. And like you said, you don't shame yourself. You just go, okay, pick myself up, move on. You can decide you probably won't feel really good in a fasting long periods at today. So you can maybe have a high protein breakfast.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, definitely, scramble a couple of eggs with, a really quality sausage, whether it's chicken, pork, I don't care. Just get a high protein, very low carbohydrate breakfast.
Yes.
And give yourself some fuel, because right now you're running on, blah. Then eat enough so that you're very well satisfied, and fast as long as you need to. You can fast the rest of the day if you really are equipped to do so. And or you fast for a good 6-8 hours and you have another high protein dinner.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I can say is that once you get used to eating a higher protein diet and eating in little sittings, in other words, and it becomes, your body feels so much better. I feel so much better. I think you will too. It just becomes a much easier lifestyle to manage. I never get that frantic hunger thing anymore. Right. And once you get it rolling, it really does serve you. That's certainly been my experience.
100%. And appreciating that if you might have some uncomfortable minutes.
Yeah, after the sugar.
Yeah, after the sugar, and or just moving into the fasting lifestyle. I say hungry is where the magic happens. Sometimes being hungry for 10 to 15 minutes, you just appreciate it and sit with it and drink your water or electrolytes, and move on, get busy.
Yeah, get busy. That's the secret. Get busy, go to bed early if you're going to be fast.
Yes, get busy, go to bed early. I love it. Yeah.
Okay, so Connie, we're getting ready to wrap up here. Yeah. I forgot to put in the description box below. I will change that just as soon as we get done here. Connie has a YouTube channel. It is filled with really, really good tips, like little tips and tricks that are so healthful and so easy to implement. Over 50 Fat Blast here on YouTube. And her website is listed down below. If you want to talk with her more, she is available. You don't have to live near her in California. You can live anywhere. And it's the same thing. I would imagine if you were in California, she'd do it online too. So I don't think there's much difference. In closing, give us a good, some good fortification for that holiday season and some, closing tips that we can take with us.
Well, appreciate that you're never going to get it 100% right.
Yeah.
And appreciate that your body is equipped to deal with, the bobbles that happen through the holiday. Yeah. And once you can kind of make up your mind to pay attention and be present for yourself, plan ahead, make sure that you're getting quality food on the daily, right? Unless you're fasting. And don't be afraid of making mistakes. When you are, kind of leaning into trying to be perfect, I want you to give yourself some grace in appreciating that it's not an easy thing if you're not well practiced. Yeah. But it is worth practicing, and take a notebook and make a plan. If you need help, my jumpstart sessions are a game changer. I mean, I have women emailing me after one session and 3 weeks later saying, I'm down 18 pounds. Oh, I'm down 6 pounds. I mean, literally, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Yes. It's fun to just know that proper nutrition, common sense, and just understanding how the body works is a game changer. Yeah. So it's not about, all the potions and those things help, all the nutrients, all the supplements. It's timing. It's just establishing a very easy lifestyle. And it's not difficult. You can do this.
You can do this, and one step at a time. I did it one step at a time, and oh my gosh, I think it's probably the best decision I've made in this second half of my life, because I feel so much more prepared, strong, independent, that I'm in better health now, and I'm strong. I'm not worried about falling. I'm not worried about becoming, infirm or this and that. It's just such a gift that you give yourself. Connie, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always such a thrill. Connie and I are dear friends, and it's like I get to spend an hour with a friend of mine, and that's always fun. What I want to say to all of you in closing is, please love yourself. Be kind to yourself right now. There is so much going on that is so challenging that we need to double up on self-love and being in the moment, like Connie mentioned, being in the moment, appreciating what we have right here, right now, and just really being sweet and loving to ourselves, because there's so much stress out there. We don't need to add to it with unrealistic expectations, but you certainly can start moving in the direction of getting in a place where you're going to snap out of bed in the morning, feeling energized and happy and ready to greet the day. And it's super possible. I promise you that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Honey, thank you again. And thank you everyone for joining me. I'm so tickled that you are interested in health. It's the hot button for me. I think it's the number one thing that we can do individually, because to heal the planet, because when we're healed, we become better family members, then we become better community members, better members of our state, better members of our country. I mean, we need to start right here at home with ourselves and move the love on from there. So thank you so much for joining me. Again, I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50. I want to thank my guest, Connie, so much. She's at Over 50 Fat Blast here on YouTube. Go check her out. I think you're going to love her videos. All right, Connie, thanks so much. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time if I can figure out how to get out of here. Okay, bye now.